Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call the March 26th meeting of the Albany County Legislature Public Works Committee meeting to order. I am Paul Bergdorf. I am the chairman of the committee. And Chris, can we start with you, vice chairman? Introduce yourself and go around the room.
Chris Smith, the Hill Towns, Burn, Knoxville, Cheval, Rensselaerville.
Paul Miller, 32nd District, Gilman.
Frank Moriello, 27th District, Colony.
Pete Tunney, 22nd LD, Northwest Colony.
John Frenier, 17th District, Cohoes.
But we know. And I would be remiss if I did not announce that it was Curtis's 39th birthday again today. So congratulations. We know everything. We hear things. We hear things. Hello, Mert. Anyway, let's first order of business. Did folks get an opportunity to review the previous meeting minutes? Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or suggestions? If not, I would entertain a motion to adopt the minutes. So moved by Chris, seconded by Paul Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. All right, on to the agenda. Good afternoon, Mr. Rogers. I assume that you are going to handle number one, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Power Authority regarding the purchase and installation of streetlights.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman, committee members. Happy birthday, Curtis. We are requesting authorization to enter into a master cost recovery agreement with the New York Power Authority with the aim of purchasing and converting the roughly 100 county streetlights from the current purchasing them from National Grid and converting them to LED. Just to be clear on process, this first step is a template agreement that any municipality who is working with NYPA on an energy efficiency type project or renewable energy type project needs to enter into. I will be coming back to you in the coming months with a requesting a project-specific authorization for this project, but this is just to enter into the preliminary agreement with NYPA to allow us to move in that direction. Speaking specifically on the streetlights, we think it's a good project. It has under a 5-year payback period, obviously environmental benefits from less electricity used. And as we're working with municipalities throughout the county on shared services, of which streetlights are a part, we want to be leading on that and pulling our weight, even though relative to some of the other municipalities in the county, our count of streetlights is much smaller, 100 versus, say, 10,000 in the city of Albany. So happy to answer any questions, but again, this is just phase one. We'll be back with more project-specific information in the near future. Sure.
Do you have a feel for where these lights are, the 100 lights?
They're pretty spread. There are definitely a few out by the nursing home in Ann Lee. There are some, I believe, down by SUNY Poly, and the rest are on county highways out Voorheesville area, New Scotland. So I think those are the big three clumps, but there are a few more spread around as well.
Question. I see that you're projecting, if we purchase these, an annual cost savings of a little over $40,000 and a payback in 3.5 years. Do we know what the cost of purchasing them are, or are we only purchasing upgraded LED lamps? It's just a little unclear.
So the all-in cost, including NYPA financing, is about $170,000. The majority of the savings comes from a mix of three different things: actual energy savings, the what we pay to currently essentially lease the poles, and then another fee that we pay to National Grid, that's a maintenance fee, which is actually the largest piece of where the savings come. That and the energy are where the majority of the savings come in.
So right now, we own these poles?
We do not.
We do not.
They're currently owned by National Grid, and we pay them a fairly hefty fee per pole and maintenance fee per pole. And that, a large portion of the savings, in addition to converting to LED, which is an energy savings, a large portion of the savings, if we proceed with this, is no longer making those payments to National Grid.
Paul?
One question. Do we have the equipment to replace these poles if we have to replace them?
I think we do, basically it's a bucket truck. But we also, to that point, a number of municipalities throughout the county are working on this, including Guilderland, New Scotland, Altamont, Voorheesville, and then I think many have probably seen that Albany is looking at doing it, and others are considering it as well. So in addition to having that equipment, we'll look for savings through joint maintenance as well, and that's part of the NIPA process. So, you know, if we do need another small piece of equipment to complement what we already have, we could share it between the various municipalities.
Okay, any other questions, concerns, comments by members of the committee? If not, I would entertain a motion to move the item. Moved by Peter Turney, seconded by Paul Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The matter is carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Lapina.
Good evening,
Welcome
Chairman.
this evening. Number 2, authorizing an agreement with Croyle Quality Contractors regarding paving at the Department of Social Services.
Yes, we issued an RFP and for the painting of all the floors at the DSS that haven't been painted in quite a few years. We issued the RFP. At first we didn't get any bidders. We extended the RFP process where we ended up with 2 bidders, and Croyle was the lowest responsive bidder. And we were also requiring a bid bond from Croyle.
Okay. Any questions, members of the committee? Paul?
Are they a union contractor?
I don't believe they are a union contractor. We did reach out to the union halls, and we received no bidders from the union halls. Croyle was the only responsive bidder at that price, and they, it goes under the purchasing program of they must pay prevailing wage. I imagine they have to.
All right. Any comments, concerns? If not, I would accept the motion to move this item. Moved by Frank Moriello, seconded by Jim. Please call all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion is carried. Okay, number 3, amending resolution number 143 for 2018 regarding professional, architectural, and engineering services for various Albany County projects. Commissioner?
Yes, we're asking to amend this contract by $250,000. We've used CT Mail in a number of projects right now. They did this first initial solar assessment at the nursing home, which we use them for. Right now, they're doing design and engineering for that. We use them for the BOE under this contract. We also are using them, we initially used them for different, different projects. We're looking to use them to do a redesign of 112 State Street to secure the lobby area to make it more secure down there. They also did the initial assessment at the Times Union Garage, and it was $50,000 to do that. They gave me a price of $232,000, which is in the scope of their work in their current contract to proceed with construction documents so we can get that building repaired the way it should be repaired.
Okay, I had a conversation with the commissioner, and what we're doing, actually, this is a 2-year agreement with CT Mail, right?
Correct, with a 1-year option.
So we're going from 300 to 550.
Correct.
But that's over the course of 2 years. That is not an annual expenditure.
Correct.
And for the most part, that increase is the $230,000 for the Times Union renovation project, construction design, and inspection services.
Correct.
Correct. So it's not like this is a number which we might see annually inflated at that level.
No, after the 2-year contract, we do have a 1-year option to pick them up again. Hopefully, there'll be some money left in there, depending on the projects we do, but we don't have to renew the contract for the 3rd renewal year. We can try and put it out for bid for other companies. It's actually very nice to have this, engineering evaluation contract to get jobs really moving, and it gives us kind of a good idea as far as when we go to capital. If we don't need to do the project right away, we want to do assessments to all our buildings, we could hire them for that assessment.
Am I correct in assuming that the new $250,000 is a component of what we passed in the bond issue for the TU
Correct.
last month?
Correct.
So there's no impact on the cash flow of the current county budget?
No, there would not be.
Okay. Frank?
Could you give us a little briefing on what you found at the time Junior Center and why we had to increase this?
Most of all the caulking and the decking is on the upper floor is gone. What it's causing is caused water penetration and a lot of the concrete. There's a lot of the spalling of the concrete. The stairwells are all cracked. We had an emergency repair last week for $8,000 because a piece of the decking was breaking loose. So we had to have a company come in and repair that. It's structural. That was in the report, the initial assessment of the garage. What we have to do now under the New York State codes is we have to do it with every 3 years we have to do an initial assessment of the facility. A lot of this stuff was some life safety issues with cabling for cars that are broken loose. It's a lot of structural repairs.
Any other questions, comments, observations? If not, I would accept a motion to move agenda item number 3. Moved by Mr. Mariano, seconded by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion is carried.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Commissioner Raimondo and Mr. Billiam. Item number 4, amending resolution number 191 for the 2018 regarding the construction of the Rail Trail Phase 1 Improvement Project. Commissioner?
Yes, hi. We're asking to amend the agreement with Peter Louisian Brothers, who is the current contractor on board for constructing the final phase of the rail trail. They completed construction of the trail. Their bid price came in under the amount that we were granted from NYSERDA. NYSERDA gave us approximately $1 million to construct the final phase of the trail. So I went back to NYSERDA and asked if we could spend the extra money, which is approximately $115,000, on fencing for portions of the trail that were constructed in earlier phases that require fencing, but we didn't have the funding to install it and purchase it at the time.
Okay. Any members of the committee have any comments, questions, or concerns? I guess I would ask, where are you going to put the new fencing? What portion of the trail?
It's predominantly on the portion that was paved by the county and the town of Bethlehem. That was, I believe, the second portion. There's different phases. It's phase 2 of what was constructed. And Bill was here for the history of that, but from what I understand, we didn't have the money to install fencing in those areas at the time. So we just focused on paving.
Basically from Veterans Park to Slaterland's Park, Slaterland's Firehouse. That's the phase 2. The area where we allowed the town of Bethlehem to put their 4 sewer main on, and they went ahead and they paid for a third of the paving.
I also understand that in the previous bids, there were unit prices on fencing, and you're using the same unit pricing that were
Yeah,
competitively.
Louisi has agreed to use the unit price that was originally bid for the Phase 1, which they installed last summer. So yes, it's a good deal.
Okay, questions, concerns, observations? If not, I would
Make a motion.
motion by Mr. Miller, seconded by Mr. Tunney. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. All right, Commissioner, authorizing an agreement with Cornell Cooperative Extension of Saratoga County for removal of invasive species at Hanley Pond.
Yes, we had the fortune of being reached out to by someone who works in cooperation with Saratoga Cornell Cooperative Extension. They're called Capital Prism. And they asked if we would be willing to allow them to come to Anley Pond and remove an invasive species called lesser celandine. Evidently, it spreads rapidly and it chokes out the ability for native species to grow within the area. And it can actually it can actually overrun the whole pond. So we're requesting the ability to enter into an agreement with them to remove the invasive species at no cost to the county, and also allow us to observe the process so that we can learn to identify it ourselves.
Okay, any questions? I made the observation to the Commissioner that some of us go back far enough that where we remember that in the Anley Pond, they had a little machine that had a paddle wheel that used to take up all the aquatic material and dump it on the boat, and that's how they got rid of it 25 years ago. So it sounds like it's gotten a bit more sophisticated. Motion? Motion by Mr. Moriello, seconded by Mr. Tunney. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item is carried. All right, Commissioner, authorizing an agreement with Gorman Brothers Incorporated regarding cold-in-place recycling for county roads located in the towns of Rensselaerville and Berne.
Yes, we're requesting to enter into an agreement with Gorman Brothers, who has been doing this work for us for many years, and they've done an excellent job. Every year, we cold-in-place recycle about 7 miles of roadway in the county. We go through and assess the condition of the roads on a yearly basis. Some qualify for cold-in-place recycling. Certain roadways are in such state of disrepair, we actually have to do full-depth replacement. Others aren't in such a bad state of repairs, and we can simply mill and repave over them. Cold-in-place recycling is kind of a middle road, where we go in and mill up 4 inches of the existing asphalt, add an asphalt emulsifier and some crusher material, and it's a train of vehicles that go ahead and start this, and then they lay it back down on the roadway and compact it. Later, we come back with our hauling and placing program, and we put top course over it.
Okay, so you're going to do 7 miles like that, and how many miles were we going to do of the traditional full renovation? What do we have?
I
in the
believe
budget?
it's 27 miles.
That's with the mill and fill. That'll be next month. We're opening bids Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's 27 miles plus 7 miles. Or not, or
You
is
know
it
what?
27 total.
Within the 27 miles, the 7 miles will be
Okay.
topped.
So you're going to do 27 miles, 7 miles with the mill and fill, and 20 with sort of the traditional full construction.
No,
No.
7 miles with the cold in place recycling and 20 miles with the mill and fill.
Okay. And what is the general differential in cost between that?
Well, the cost, and then this is just the CIP, the hot, or the cold in place recycling without the asphalt on top is about $131,500 a mile. The mill and fill, which is the milling of the asphalt and the replacement of it with top course, is about $105,000 per mile. So, but the mill and fill roads are not in as bad a shape as the cold recycled roads are, and therefore there's where your cost difference comes from.
questions, concerns, comments?
How many miles of county roads are there?
Well, there's approximately 600 if you go by lane miles, but divide that in half.
290 center lane miles.
If
roughly.
you divide it in half, it's center lane miles, so about 300, a little shy of that.
So basically, you do close to 10% a year.
That's
We
the
do.
goal.
Yep, and that helps
So
keep
that's
us
a
in line.
10-year cycle.
Yeah.
I know I had people commenting when Shaker Road was repaved in a couple of the other sections that you did, that they thought the county did an excellent job in terms of preventative maintenance and upkeep.
Thank you.
So what do you thought when you have to take the base out and redo the base and the base coat and the top coat? That's not
That would be
That-
full depth recycle.
full depth. How many miles of that do you do?
We don't do too much of that anymore. Most of the roads we have a decent base. What we do is some full depth recycling, and that is we grind up all the asphalt and we create a new sub base out of that, and then we'll pave base binder top over the top of that. And those are for on low volume roads that haven't been touched in a long time. We don't do a lot of that. We do a little of that. We're gonna do Route 11, about a half a mile. We did like old 403. We did Heritage Lane in front of our barn a couple of years ago. But we don't do a lot of that because our roads are luckily in good enough shape where we don't need that.
The other thing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that with this agreement, it also not only does the mill and replace for a base coat, but when you come back, the top coat is finished, and then the pricing also includes striping.
That would be correct. The hauling and placing contract includes the striping of all the roads we pave, because our paint striping is a separate contract, and they'll do the striping in May or June, hopefully. And so, but they don't want to, we don't have them come back and do this. We include that in, that's correct, sir.
Okay, great.
Make the motion.
Moved by Mr. Miller. Seconded by Mr. Grenier. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Carried. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Commissioner.
See you next month. Thank you.
Oh, wait, you got the,
I believe that.
yeah, one more.
I think that got pulled to audit and finance.
Oh, the budget thing?
It's
But
on
I'll do
both-
it today.
It's on both, actually.
Oh, it is?
Yep, it's on
Oh,
both,
okay.
actually, yep.
Sure. I'll speak
Authorizing
to
an
it.
agreement with the Capital District Transportation Committee regarding grant funding and amending the 2019 Department of Public Works budget.
Yes, so we did receive the grant from CDTC in the amount of $2,500. And what we're going to do is, we're going to purchase wristbands that say, stop at the curb, look before you step. And there's going to be a county emblem on it and an emblem for CDTC on it. They glow in the dark. It's for pedestrian safety purposes, and they're going to be handed out by our traffic safety coordinator, Bill Van Alstyne, at some of his public events.
Any questions, concerns, comments, members of the committee? If not, accept the motion. Moved by Peter Tunney, seconded by Frank Moriello. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Anytime.
All right. Acting Executive Director Angelo. Acting Executive Director for how many more days?
Hopefully one.
Good evening. You have two items on the agenda. The first one is authorizing an agreement with Arcadis New York Incorporated regarding design, construction, administration, and observation services at the Joint Regional Biosolids Facility.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are requesting authorization to enter an agreement with Arcadis, specific for engineering services. We received two proposals, the first from Arcadis, the second from Barton Judas, for engineering services. Both proposals were well put together, and we created an 8-person selection committee between Saratoga County and Albany County, 4 from the district and then 4 from Saratoga County. The selection of that was broken down into 7 primary categories, which were weighed. The first 2 were basically experience in reference to anaerobic digesters, fog receiving stations, and ancillary systems associated with the project. The second was experience with construction management of similar projects. That was I guess combined allotted for 60% of the weighting. The remaining amounts were in different percentages, and I'll just go through those quickly. So the third was experience in service performance contracting, which is something we're looking to enter into for disposal of the biosolids on the back end of the process. That was 10%. References and ability to meet project schedule equated to 10% combined. Value-added engineering and innovative design approaches was 10% of the weighting, and then fees were also 10%. Arcadis was not the lowest fee proposal. However, we felt that Arcadis and their subconsultants, CHA and CDM Smith, who were involved not only in the feasibility studies for both ourselves and for Saratoga County, also were involved in the long-term control plan, have a tremendous amount of local experience specific to the area and specific to both our facilities. So we felt that they had an advantage. B&L's proposal, they had teamed with Brown and Caldwell, who was a very good firm. Unfortunately, the majority of the design work was going to be basically sublet to Brown and Caldwell. So again, we felt that the Arcadis team kind of had the advantage. It's specific to the experience and specific to the fact that they have a large local presence. They also have staffing levels that we feel can meet a relatively aggressive schedule when it comes to the design. We are looking at a one-year design period. That design schedule primarily is being decided upon more from Saratoga's perspective. They are expending roughly $2 million a year in terms of their sludge removal, so the quicker that we get this facility operational, the better for them in terms of operational cost. So those were kind of the reasons for our selections, but I would certainly
Is it true that the selection was endorsed unanimously by the Albany County, Saratoga County
Yes,
management team for the project?
So the district board approved it on January 23rd, and the IMA board approved it on January 16th, yes.
Okay, questions from members of the committee? Any other members present? If not, would accept a motion to adopt this. Mr. Kale, motion. Second. Mr. Moriello, second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion is carried. Thank you, Executive Director Claudio. Would you like to take us through the last item, which is authorizing an agreement between the Albany County Water Purification District and the City of Albany regarding shared services?
Yes. So we are requesting authorization to enter an agreement with the City of Albany for landfill services. This is a long-term contract that the district has had. This is a 5-year term contract. Basically, we accept leachate from the landfill. In exchange, the landfill accepts our screen and rags and our ash from our ash lagoon. So again, it's basically a shared services between us and the city. And again, it's been a long-term contract that I think the district has had for in excess of 20 years. So again, we're just looking to continue that for another 5-year period.
Okay.
Is this
Question?
ash used for daily coverage?
Yes, it's beneficially reused.
It is, okay.
Mr.
Will
Miller?
the anaerobic digester eliminate this then, or?
The disposal, the rags and the screenings are still going to be something that the district is going to have to contend with despite the digester. Ultimately, the disposal of the biosolids will have to find a home somewhere. Again, given kind of the City of Albany's condition with their landfill and the potential for closure, I believe in 2026, we are looking to enter into a performance contract with the biosolids as part of the digester project that hopefully will find a final home for the biosolids.
So is it anticipated that the Albany City landfill has a 5-year extended life? Is that the general?
Yes, that's our understanding. So we had received a letter from the city basically indicated that they would want to enter into another 5-year term. So it's our understanding that there will be 5 years of capacity available.
And I know that historically, not currently, the town of Colony landfill also had an agreement with the,
Yes.
with the sewer district for effluent and ash use. That may be a potential sometime.
I think that's something that we would probably want to reach out to them to see if there's potential going forward, depending on kind of what their scenario is at the time. I'm not sure exactly what their capacity is. Obviously, they're in the process of building a new cell, so I would think that they would have some capacity going forward past, the 2026 mark, again, if that's the closure date for Albany. But that's something we would certainly be willing to enter into with them.
All right. Any additional questions, comments from members of the committee? If not, I would accept a motion made by Mr. Carroll, seconded by Mr. Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The item is carried. Thank you, Acting Executive Director Claudio.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Motion for
We have no
adjournment.
further business. Look for a
Motion to
motion to adjourn. Mr. Miller, Mr. Smith, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.